Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another video of mine. So I thought I was considering going back to my normal scheduling this weekend, singing with JB, but I thought no, I feel that I'll swear, and because I'm still thinking about Cedar Point. There's my hat. So this is a hat I wore at nighttime at Cedar Point. I've had it for many, many years. Still works. Put a battery over here and it lights up at nighttime. I walked around with this on at nighttime. And yeah, I'm still thinking about Cedar Point a lot. It was a really special, awesome trip. First time I'd been there in 15 years. The first time I'd been there with my wife. My wife had never seen it before and she really loved it too. And just memories, remembering all the fun times that me and my mom had when we were there, going through the park, going on the trip, riding the coasters, and so that's a lot of fun too. This is what I'm going to do today. Really had a hard time since coming back from Cedar Point. I really have. I haven't felt really great since coming back. Maybe it's because I'm back into this day-to-day rut again, and it's just it's not fun, the day-to-day rut. Cedar Point is just a completely different thing altogether. But today I want to do a video here for you. Try not to make it too long. I'm going to rank the coasters at Cedar Point. So I got my list here, and I'm going to quickly go over all of them. Cedar Point has 17 roller coasters right now. They technically have 18, but the 18th is not open. Hasn't been open in 2 years. It will be open next year in a different format, but that coaster has been closed for a couple of years. And I'm certainly not going to go over all 18 coasters, primarily because some of them I'm just not going to mention because I don't ride them anymore. And so I'm not going to rate them, really. I don't ride them anymore. They're kind of rough. They're kind of I don't go on them. And there's some I couldn't even go on this time around because of my heart condition. But I will rank some of them. But anyway, let's start out here. So the one I'm going to talk about first, and so I'm going from least to the best. That's what I'm doing. My list is least to the best. Okay, so we're going to start here. Woodstock Express. Now, Woodstock Express is the first time I've ever been on Woodstock Express. It's been there since, I think, 99 or 2000, something like that, but I've never been on it. Mainly because I've been so busy riding all the other fun stuff that it just hasn't been a thought in my mind. Because Woodstock Express is basically a kid's roller coaster. Although anybody can go on it, as I went on it this time around, and you see other bigger people go on it too. It is a kid's coaster, but anybody can go on it. So, here's a picture of the Woodstock Express. So it's not a really big coaster. It's got a height of 38 feet. Goes at a whopping 25 miles per hour. But it's a really fun little coaster. And it's actually, it goes around, it looks like a train basically. That's why they call it the Woodstock Express. And there's an engine at the front and Woodstocks on the front, carting the train around. So it's called the Woodstock Express. So yeah, I rode that for the first time ever this trip around. And yeah, it's a fun little ride. And you know, it's exactly the kind of ride that I can handle with my heart. And I must say this about the Woodstock Express. It goes a lot faster than it appears. I thought we were clipping along at a pretty good speed, and I thought, this goes pretty fast for a little for a kids geared coaster. So, but the speed is 25 miles per hour, so not overly fast, but it feels faster than that. So I would rank that one at the least of my list right now, going from least to best. But it's still a fun ride. And absolutely, if I went back to Cedar Point again, I very well could go on it. Next one on the list is Pipe Scream. Okay, so Pipe Scream. And this is the first time I've been on Pipe Scream, mainly because Pipe Scream wasn't even around the last time I was there. It was just put in 2014. Last time I was at Cedar Point was 2008, before this. So they call it a coaster. And again, I mean, it isn't a typical coaster, but here's a picture of it. So this one here. It's kind of hard to see. It's the light's glaring on it a lot. But it basically looks like a giant box or a boat, and it goes up and down this track. So there's a track. It looks like kind of like a skateboard track or a skateboard kind of hill, I guess you could say. So it goes down, goes back up the other way, comes back down, and every time it goes a little higher, goes faster, it spins around. And it's basically designed to give you the sensation of a roller coaster, but it's a flat ride. That's what it is. But this is Pipe Scream. They put it in 2014, and I rode that. And that is a fun ride, too. Fun little ride. It's not overly intense. And I thought sometimes the spinning would bother me when I saw some of these things. But no, not on that one it didn't. Not at all. So Pipe Scream is a fun little ride, too. And I would rate that definitely at the bottom, but still a fun ride. Next we go up. The next one on my list here is Cedar Creek Mine Ride. Now, Cedar Creek Mine Ride has been at Cedar Point for years. It's the second oldest coaster there. It was put in 1969. And it is a family-geared coaster. It's in Cedar Point's old part of the park called Frontier Town. And let me just see if I can bring up the picture. Here we go. And see if it shows up. So that top picture there that you see right here, that's part of Cedar Creek Mine Ride. So it's a wooden coaster, but it's not a big coaster by any stretch. It's got a small hill. It doesn't go overly fast. And it's really a fun ride. It's got some speed on it. It goes up a hill. It doesn't really have a hill. It comes down because it goes kind of into a bank curve and slowly comes back down. But it is again, they call it a family coaster, and it definitely is a family coaster because it's not very big. It's not very fast. But it is a great coaster in terms of getting fun on it and in terms of getting that coaster sensation on it, too. So that's the next one on my list. Iron Dragon. Next one. So Iron Dragon has been there for quite a few years, too. And again, it's considered a family coaster. So they put an Iron Dragon in 1987. It's a suspended coaster, which means that it rides underneath the track, and you're in cars basically underneath the track, and it just there's trees as part of the ride, so it kind of goes through a forest. It kind of swoops down to a little bit of a swamp, and yeah, it's a very fun ride just because it's underneath the track. Goes through the forest. It's got 2 lift hills, not just one. Neither one of them are big. And it's a family coaster. Again, a fairly safe coaster. I went on that 2 times when I was on my trip at Cedar Point. It's fun. And it's not overly intense. So it's a good ride to go on too. Next one on my list, Wild Mouse. Wild Mouse is brand new this year. Absolutely brand new. They put it in over the winter. It's part of its new boardwalk themed area in the park. And it is a family coaster too. Basically, if anybody been to the fair at all, maybe, or something like that's exactly what it's like. It's like a fair roller coaster. It's got little turns and little curves. You're in separate cars. It goes up a bit of a hill, but it's very, very. It's not. It's pretty tame too. The one thing I was concerned about with Wild Mouse was the cars spin. So it's not just the fact that you're in a car, but the fact and you're going along a track, but the car is spinning the whole time, which I was just like, man, I don't know if that's gonna make me dizzy. But no, I went on it twice. Didn't get dizzy at all. And it's what really makes it a fun ride is the cars are all named after different mouse. So, first time I rode, I was on the mouse named Dizzy. Second time I rode it, I was on a mouse named Zaggy. And then I think they have Ziggy, they have Larry, they have an actual cheese car too, like the cheese car, the mouses are all supposed to be chasing after. So it's a fun ride, and I like going on it both times. So that's the next one I talk about. So let me see now if I can find this. Here we go. The next one I'm going to talk about. Gemini. So Gemini is an old coaster too. It was put in there in the 70s, I believe. And what makes Gemini very unique and makes it stand out is this. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's two trains side by side by each other. And so there's two trains that are constantly running on it, side by side. So you feel like you're racing in this coaster. You feel like you're in a race with the other coaster. That's what makes it fun. I've been on it quite a few times in the past. I did not go on it this time because it is a 125-foot hill, a little bit higher, a little bit more intense, and I just thought, I think that's probably pushing it too much, so I didn't go on that one. But the Gemini is a fun one. It's unique because of the racing element in it. So let's keep on. Now we're going to get into some of the big ones here, okay? So the next one up here is Gatekeeper. So Gatekeeper, it's obviously, let's see if I can find it here, right here. I did go on this one, and here's a picture of it. Okay, so there is, so you can see it kind of looks like you're flying, which you are. There's seats on either side of the track, and the track is in the middle. The track is just sitting there in the middle, and you know what? I was really hesitant to go on it because I thought, ooh, I don't know. It's a little bit more extreme. It does go upside down. Not 4, not 5, but 6 times it goes upside down. And, but it's not that intense. It's very smooth and gentle. And, yeah. It's a really fun ride. It definitely is. I wish that I could have gone on it more than once, but I thought I'd be pushing my luck. But Gatekeeper's a fun ride, and I would say if you're going there and want to hit big rides and you're a little nervous and you're a little scared, you're not somebody who rides too much in terms of coasters, that's a great one to start out on, because if you can do that one, chances are you're probably good to do more of the bigger ones there. So Gatekeeper. review on that. Next on my list, the Magnum XL200. Now this was put in 1989. At the time, it was the biggest coaster in the world. It was a 200-foot hill. Nobody had ever breached that high on a hill before until Magnum had come along. And so it is quite a ride. And again, I've ridden this ride in the past, but I did not this time because of my heart condition. But here's a picture of it. So it's a pretty big coaster. You can see like the supports underneath it. It is a 200-foot coaster on the first drop. It goes along at 72 miles per hour. It's about a 2-minute ride, and so it's getting up there for intenseness. Now that when we were at Cedar Point, 2 of the 3 days we were there, it wasn't even running. It had been down for a week when we were there. So I guess that was good because I wasn't tempted to go on it anyway because it wasn't running, right? So so anyway, there you go. Next on my list, as we work our way up from the bottom to the top. So we're getting near the top now of the best coasters at Cedar Point. Valravn. Valravn. Now let me show you a picture of Valravn here. So there it is. And that, you can see up here, that's the coaster there. And it's going over the first hill. Now this is a dive coaster. So what that means is that it's going straight down at a 90-degree angle, and it hangs you there for a few seconds before it drops you. So it really is quite a different coaster. It's called a dive coaster. Again, I did not ride it. I have never ridden it. It came along after the last time I had been at Cedar Point. And it's just, I mean, because it goes straight down, it goes pretty fast, it's pretty high, all the reasons I should not ride it. But, you know, I would love to ride a dive coaster someday, and hopefully I'll have the chance someday, but not this time around. But Valravn, from what I hear, is definitely in the top 5 of rides at Cedar Point. If you're going to ride a roller coaster, that's one of the top 5. So let me go to the next one. Okay. Maverick. Now Maverick is another really pretty intense coaster. I have been on it in the past. I got a picture of myself on it. I've ridden it, I think, 2 or 3 times. But again, it's a pretty intense coaster. It definitely is a coaster you need to work up to, and it's definitely not a coaster I should be going on with my heart condition. So here is Maverick. So there's a picture of it. Now Maverick is not the biggest coaster in the world. It's not even the fastest, but it's pretty intense. It twists and turns, has a 400-foot long launch tunnel. It has a 95-degree drop, and so it's got a lot of throws on it. And it is one that, you know, is pretty intense, and one, again, I couldn't ride this time around. However, it's always in the top 5, probably even the top 3. I got this as the 3rd best run right now at Cedar Point, and that's what the consensus of that ride is among many riders. Let me go to the next one now. The next 2, actually. So we're at 2 and 1 here. The 2nd best coaster at Cedar Point, Millennium Force. And I would agree with that. Millennium Force is an awesome roller coaster. Millennium Force was put in 2000, and at the time it was the world's biggest coaster. This one was a 300-foot hill on it. So it's got a height of 310 feet, speeds of 93 miles per hour. So it's tall, it's fast, and it moves you along. It is an amazing coaster. You get lots of airtime on this thing, going up the hills, coming down. There's lots of curves and banks on it. It's fast, it's big. It's definitely a very, very great coaster. And again, I've gone on it in the past, but I couldn't this time around. If I had no restrictions, I definitely would have went on it at least once. However, I couldn't. But it's definitely up at the top of the list for a reason, because it's an amazing, awesome coaster. So Millennium Force. Number one. And again, I can't say I experienced it, but based on what people say, based on people's opinions, number one coaster at Cedar Point is Steel Vengeance. Now, Steel Vengeance is at the back of the park. Steel Vengeance used to be another coaster called Mean Streak. It is a very, very high wooden coaster. And essentially what they did was they took out some of the wood of it. Most of the structure is still in place, but they did revamp it. It got a wood structure with a steel track on it. And it broke all these records at the time it was put in. So it was the tallest hybrid, which means a hybrid is a steel track on a wooden coaster at 205 feet, steepest drop of 90 degrees, straight down drop, just like the Valraven is, the dive coaster. It's got 4 inversions on it. It's going at 74 miles per hour, fastest hybrid at the time, 27.2 seconds of airtime on it, which means that you feel like you're out of your seat 27.2 seconds of the ride. It is one heck of a coaster, based on what people have said anyway. And yeah, so that's what makes Steel Vengeance amazing. I will say I rode it virtually. I will say that. I went and watched it for a good half hour the one night, and I was amazed at it. Watching it go down the hill, watching it come around the curve, coming around the front of the coaster, and how much it was just flying. The thing does not stop the whole time. So yeah, again, if it wasn't for my heart condition, I would have rode that ride. Maybe sometime in the future I can, but Steel Vengeance, top coaster at this time at Cedar Point. Now, I want to make an honorable mention, and that is to Top Thrill 2. So Top Thrill 2 is coming out next year. The coaster was originally called Top Thrill Dragster. So the coaster goes basically straight up in the air, 400 feet, comes up over a little bit of a crest, and then drops down at that same height, 400 feet. And it goes like 120 miles per hour. The thing just... me and my mom rode it several number of times. It was definitely our top ride for sure, beyond anything else. It's been closed for 2 years. They're revamping it, but they're coming out next year with Top Thrill 2. Honorable mention to that, and we'll see. Be interested to see what the reviews are on that one once it's open and people ride it. But yeah, so that anyway is my that's what I wanted to do today. Cedar Point coasters, and rank them. So that's what I did for you today. Not all of them, just some of them. But based on my experience there at Cedar Point this time around, and based on what people say about the bigger rides too. So that's what I went on. So I hope you liked that. A little bit more on Cedar Point, but again, an amazing place. I was just thrilled and delighted to be there again. Ton of fun. and I still want to be there. And I felt really great when I was there, as I said. And then I come home and, you know, I feel sluggish again. I feel like, bleh, like it's just back to this day-to-day rut again. But anyway, I hope you liked that. And I hope anybody who took the time to watch this, I thank you for it. And next weekend's a long weekend. So again, I'm not sure what my plans are for next weekend. But if I'm around and I have the time, I'll get back to a singing video. If not, then the weekend after for sure. So that has been my video for this week. Here, another video on Cedar Point, the coasters of Cedar Point. So thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and we'll see you then.